Welcome back to Ion Radio, everyone. I'm John, and this is the Backseat Admiral. If you're in chat, just let me know if my sound's good. Otherwise, I'm going to just keep talking. So today is Sunday, August 14th, and we're going to be talking about Season 4, Episode 7, which was the Battle of the Red Dice. Just got off work, so pretty tired. It was a busy night at work, so probably going to go through this pretty quickly. But I wanted to talk about some ideas and some stuff that came up from the game. Okay, so it looks like we have Dublock and Jacob in the chat, and the sound is good. That's awesome. So how are you guys doing today? Bunch of people, Backyard Films, and Michael as well. Hope you guys are doing good. So this is one of our theme games that we did, Battle of the Red Dice. Akbar versus Martuk. Ken was Akbar, and I was Martuk, and I took a lot of flack because apparently I said that I liked Radis better than Akbar, and I still stand by that. I think if I were to build a list right now, if you said build a competitive list and use a fish, I wouldn't even really think of Akbar. I would go straight to Radis. So, Dumluck, my question for the morning is: have you started thinking about what fleet you are going to bring to Worlds? I don't expect to hear what fleet. Just curious if you are. Yes, it is. So, what's interesting about what Ken and I do on the channel, I'm going to dive into this a little bit before going on, is we don't really play competitive fleets. Because I honestly think competitive fleets are boring. So, like, as much as I enjoyed winning with the list that I did, I think the list is terrible for the game. It's straight cancer. Just farming lists are terrible. So, I expect we're going to see a lot more of it because it's technically super competitive. It's just not fun to play or play against, which is what competitive is. But that's not what Ken and I really play on the channel. So, at any given time, we have a lot of things that we would consider tournament level fleets that are like stuck in the back of our heads that we're not going to put on the channel. So I already have a couple of those that I probably would play at Worlds, but we got to see how the meta unfolds between now and then. If they have another rapid reinforcements or something like that, that could really shake it up. So I can't really commit to anything, but I usually keep like 2 to 3 like Rebel or Imperial competitive fleets like running in my head. And then like for GAR in CAS, I don't really have as many because I don't think they're as competitive, but I have 2 GAR kind of competitive fleets, and then I have 1 or 2 CAS fleets that are in there just waiting to eventually get out. But yeah, so I don't know which I'm going to play. I might come Starhawk hunting. Speaking of Radis, who's really, really good at it. So I have actually like 3 competitive Radis fleets that are in the waiting to come out eventually. Our friend and co-host of the Command Stack, he brought a Radis fleet. He brought the Overload Pulse boarding trooper drop, and he was able to kill a Starhawk, so it's capable of doing it. So I'm excited. I like Starhawks. I like killing Starhawks, and I like Radis, so maybe I go that just for some fun. Michael, it would be interesting in seeing a series of how you choose what you bring. Obviously aired after the event. For the event, I actually did a backseat the other day. That was Thursday night on the fleet. I can expand a little bit more on why I brought that is because I really wanted a Worlds ticket. But like the designing of that fleet is most people don't know how to deal with a Starhawk. And for sure, most people don't know how to deal with a Starhawk right now that just farms tokens. So you're really put in a hard place of, I guess you lose, unless you came specifically designed for it. The other thing with the Starhawk farming list is it's not fair to play it. And it's fair in the sense of it's a tournament, so everything in the game's legal. But like when you really stop and you look at what's in it, it's not fair to two of the factions. Two of the factions currently have no strategic, and two of the objectives that you farm with are completely reliant on strategic. So like I guess you take advanced gunnery and lose if you're GAR or CIS because they have no access to it. So eventually when hopefully they bring out new products and they release like a Squadron Pack 2 or something, like they need strategic so they can actually compete in like the basic objectives which came from Wave 1, because right now they can't. So like I said, like it's a super mean competitive list, so I don't feel bad bringing it to a competition, but at the same time, that's why you'll never really see that type of list on the channel, because there's no answer for it in two of the factions. So cheers to Italy as well, Dutch. Welcome to the stream. Yes, Bluefish, I really like Bluefish. I like Radis. I've played Radis competitively before when the Super Star Destroyer came out, and all I wanted to do was kill Super Star Destroyers. And I just kept placing against Rebel MSU, which does terrible against Rebel MSU. Radis is terrible against Rebel MSU. Like, you can drop in on them and it just scatters. And you're like, okay, cool. I can't do anything the rest of this game. I guess I died to the swarm of YT-2400s that are going to eat me. That's what happened in the one game I had. But I like Bluefish better than Redfish. But let's jump to the game and check out the two lists. So we're going to start with my list. It is the CIS list. It's a Martuk list. Martuk is super, super wordy. But basically all you have to think about is if you're attacking a shield, a side that has a shield, you get an extra red dice. If you're attacking that doesn't have a shield, you don't get an extra red dice. If somehow you've depleted all their shields and they're not dead yet, then you lose a dice. But that's after the roll. So you get to just take out one of your bad things, because canceling is a modification and takes place after the initial roll. So I have a Providence carrier, and it is here mainly for the fleet command, which is Intensify Firepower, which I think really, for me, goes well with Martuk, because it's red dice, and I'm terrible at rolling red dice, but this Intensify allows me to fix it. Rune Hot Cow is here, and he's really, really good for powering that. You can put 2 Confires on it, so then to power like the theoretical 4-ish turns, you just need to pull a token from other ships twice, and then you have it powered pretty much for the whole game. And you also can pull other tokens from them too. So I actually used this, I thought, pretty well in the game. I was able to pull tokens like a nav and a Confire from another ship and bring it on me, so then I could power Intensify and then I could nav at the same time. I think he's just really, really useful. He's right up there with Wat Tambor as my favorite officer for the CAS. I know there's not a lot, so there's not a lot competing, but like him and Wat Tambor are right up there. I have flak guns, so I can get my black dice out to medium and my blue dice out to long range. Reactive gunnery. And this is an interesting call, because a lot of times you'll see, well, I can't put it on here, but like you'd see like local fire control to get a second salvo. But with this, I can then keep my contain as a contain and then just use it if I need to. Like if you decide to block my salvo, then I can just use my contain as the reactive gunnery anyway. So it kind of buys me like one additional salvo if I need to, and I'm fine with that. Point defense, because I like staying alive, and then TBY because it's just evil to set black salvo dice to crits. It's just amazing. So that's the main like spearhead, if you would, of my fleet. My next ship is a Recusant Light Destroyer. It is Teeks. And Teeks is here because you can do a couple different things with him. Like you can Confire, you can use engineering, like you can get any token that you need when you need it with the Recusant, and then you basically can just focus on navigating the entire time. In this case, I could use him to leverage tokens onto the Recusant, so then I can pull them to me with Rune Hakao. So I kind of like that bit of synergy with them. It has Ordnance Experts, Hardened Bulkheads, because I always seem to be running into small ships with my large ships. So I figured, why not put this on it? I had the points for it. And then if I don't straight out kill a ship, I can just ram it and take no damage. So I saw really no downside to that. External racks, so when we do get up and close, I would like to actually throw extra dice at it. Link Turbo Laser Towers, because it's a CIS ship and it's just stapled to it. And then Patriot's Fist, because why wouldn't you? It's really good. The plan is for like the Providence to just sit here, and then the Recusant to just speed away into the backfield and try to clean up as much as possible while the Providence is taking it. And that's pretty much what I do. The rest of the fleet is 2 hard sell battle refits, mainly because I'm playing Mark II and I would like to throw lots of dice. Reinforced blast doors on it to keep them alive just a little bit longer, like they already normally stay a little bit longer than they're welcome. The reinforced just allows me to keep them alive maybe 1 extra turn. And then Link Turbo Lasers, because reroll is awesome. So like, if you have a Confire with these things, it's 3 red dice out the front, plus a Martuk dice, plus a Confire, plus a reroll with Link Turbo Laser Towers, and then I get to just set 1 to a hit, which is automatic with Intensify. It can put out a lot of damage. All these ships can put out a lot of damage, actually. And that's what you see. There's technically not a lot of upgrades, but there's also like not a lot of choices. So like if I were to remove cards from this, I would remove the Reinforced Blast Doors, which is 10 points. Hardened Bulkheads, now we're up to 15 points. Everything pretty much stays here. Maybe put on X-Racks on here, but like, what do I do with those points? And that's kind of like what I came to the issue with when I was building this list. Like, there just wasn't enough points to do anything else interesting. I guess what I could try doing is dropping the hard cells down to just the transport version and maybe put in a Gazanti, but I don't even know if I would be able to hit 28 points to do that. It's just a little bit too point crunched for me, but I guess I could strip it down more, but they're already running pretty bare bones. I like having Link Turbo Laser Towers because it allows me to flak and reroll dice, but maybe I don't add those either to get that Gazanti. It's kind of hard to tell, but that's pretty much my list here. Do you guys have any thoughts on it? If you do, or any comments, hit me in the comments. I'm going to get set to go over Ken's fleet in a second. Kind of what's interesting about Ken's fleet is I think this is the game that changed his mind on how he equips some of his MC30s, which I think is funny. I didn't really realize it until today when I was going over like the images and things like that. So I have to ask him that later in the morning, or tonight when we end up talking. Because if you've seen his Gen Con list, I know he's making a video and he'll go over his list. And I hope he does, and I hope he talks about his thought process on it. But he didn't run any of this typical MC30 titles. And what he had told me is that he felt like the titles actually didn't help him more so to survive. Like the ones that died were going to die regardless of having a title or not, compared to not putting those points on it instead of putting advanced projectors or whatever the shield one is that you can go all around. He said is actually more useful and it's cheaper than taking either of the titles. So mileage may vary, but that was his opinion, and I think part of it was this game made him decide that. So no new questions for the time being, so I'm going to jump right into Ken's fleet. Ken has an Akbar fleet. It's just that standard splattering of rebel ships. Hold on, a comment just came in, so I'm going to stop and answer the comment. Doomplex says, the hard cell transports don't have a slot for Link Turbo Laser Tower, so you would have enough points for Gazanti. Yeah, I guess. It's just hard to tell, because the battle are just so good at like flacking and shooting things. Like it's one additional dice, but you actually have longer range out the side. It's a toss up. I don't need like the utility of like token generation because a lot of times I'll use like the parts or munition and resupply or a comms net on that ship. But like I don't need it in this fleet because the tokens that I need I can just generate with Teeks and Hakao himself instead of getting past them. So it's like a hard thing. Like, do I really need another Gazanti? Would it really help me? It's just kind of like an additional activation, additional like basically pass ship. So that might help, but at the same time, like I don't know. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like I could, but would it actually help me more than just more reliably being able to flak and shoot red dice? So that's up to you guys. You guys can let me know what you think of it. So this is Ken's fleet. It is an Akbar fleet. He has an Akbar frigate Mark II-A. It has intel officer, early warding systems, and dual turbo laser towers because Ken always wants to use it. I think he has it on here mainly because he'll really only be getting one shot realistically per turn with Akbar, and it'll allow him to change one dice. I think I would prefer something to reroll more dice, like Caitlin and Cholin I think would be a good choice for this ship. And that's one additional point. And I'm fine with early warning systems. It's just so hard for me to take early warning systems on a ship compared to like ECM. ECM is just so powerful for a ship that maybe, like most of the Rebel ships have weird arcs. That it's not like a Star Destroyer that you're just pointing it at it. So like where I normally see early warning system, I think early warning system would be like good on like, I always use them on acclimators because acclimators have that giant front and it's like really hard to get actually on their side without getting around it. So those are the ships that jump out to me the most with early warning systems. But like assault frigates and even like the Providence, I don't really see a good use for it. It's like a good secondary. So like in an MC-80, the one with double defense, I would see using it because you got that giant side. You're going to just point it toward them. Then you have ECM anyways. But I don't really like early warning system in this type of fleet. Then you have the MC-30 Scout. It has Lando, veteran gunners, because you're going to probably have a lot of red dice with Akbar and a Confire. Assault proton torpedoes, turbo laser reroute circuits, and foresight. And while I beat up Ken's shields pretty quickly, I believe he still had some shields around, and I think this is where he decided that just having the advanced projectors would have been more useful than necessarily having foresight, because my Providence came in and smacked him hard. But being able to use his redirects to redirect to that final zone might have been a benefit to him. So I'm curious what he has to say about that, because I know, especially after Gen Con, Ken and I had talked a lot about different fleet building ideas and things with his fleet and how to improve it and things like that. And I can see where this fleet was, because this was filmed a while back, to what he brought to Gen Con in the evolution there. And then there needs to be like one more evolution forward. So I'm curious if he carries that through. Then you have a CR90A, and it's just classically built. It's got the turbo laser reroute circuits and Jaina's Light because it's awesome. I have a lot of respect for this ship with Akbar. Like, for the most part, I didn't like CR90s and Akbar, but at Gen Con facing Jason's swarm of them, and he almost was able to kill my Starhawk with it because it was like 1 red dice plus 2 red dice plus a Confire. It's like, and then it's automatically one of them's a double. It becomes brutal. Like it's absolutely brutal. So yeah, it's good. Tauren, CommsNet, boosted comms. I questioned this ship, and so did Ken after we played it. And I'm going to talk about that. I don't want to steal Ken's thunder because I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about it by Gen Con, but from like here on in his fleet is what I would change. So he brought Shara, Tycho, Dash, and Ten-Nub, which are all fine fighters. But it's a heavy point investment into something that's not fighters. So if we go back and look at this, Torren Far really isn't helping Akbar at all. The boosted comms is, so this entire ship has like 11 points of upgrades that are meant to help fighters and not his ships. But he's an Akbar fleet, so he should be like hardcore going into anti-ship and ships being useful. Maybe if light fighter screen to like hold off fighters, which would be Shar and Tycho. But then you have like Dash Rengar and Ten-Nub on here that it's like an additional like 50 plus points of squadrons when it's like you're not really a squadron build. You can't really push all the squadrons together because your transport's just two things. And if you're pushing squadrons, then you're not comms netting. And it's only helping out the blue dice for this because you're a red dice fleet. So one of the things Ken and I had talked about after Gen Con was Ken half commits into different builds. So this is an example of it, and his Gen Con is actually an example of it too. Like he doesn't go fully into fighters. Like if he put in like 130 points of fighters and then also the ships to support it, that's fine. But he has primarily in this list Akbar ships that are going to take red dice and they're going to throw red dice and they're going to do decent with it. And then right at the end, he like wedged in 100 points of, I guess I'm also going to be a squadron list. And the points don't get a payback because if you went against a heavy squadron list with this, the squadrons are going to kill you out. And then you have extra stuff on your transport that's not going to help you out. And it's not going to slow down a heavy build. But at the same time, you also don't have the pushing power to push them if in case you like ran into like me, a non fighter build. So like this is the same thing with this Gen Con list. He had like 94 points of squadrons, 2 transports decked out to push those squadrons, and then he had like this Kraken fleet that was flying around and wanted to do circles, fly in and out in MC-30s. Like if he dumped all the fighters, he could probably fit in another MC-30, and then he could like stage the MC-30s to like come in on an attack run and like make kill boxes with it, which he's good at. So I think that's like you could even see it in his game with Downsize It. He'll be talking about that later on in this week. But like he made a kill box with his MC-30s. His Star Destroyer flew in. The Star Destroyer did not fly out because it died. But then his squadrons fed him points. And then, his MC-30s were kind of stuck there. If he just went full MC-30 with maybe like Shara and Tycho just as a defense, I think that would be better. So this is something Ken and I have been talking about for a while. So it'll be interesting when Ken does his Gen Con coverage if he kind of touches on the same base of it as well. Okay, I think that's it for the fleet. I'm going to go check out comments and then queue up the images of how the game went. Actually, I need to get to objectives. There we go. Okay, let's see. I'm thinking he should fly a Pelta fleet for Worlds. Me? I do like that Pelta fleet. That Pelta fleet was really, really mean. Maybe I should look into seeing if I can do something crazy like that. I can't get the fleet things. I'm thinking for the Republic, because I actually think the Republic... I think the Republic Peltas are better because they're cheaper and more useful. They're just also slow. But I really, really like... I'm guessing you're talking about that Pelta fleet that killed off 2 Venators in 2 turns. I do enjoy that. I actually joked with Ken right before we went to Gen Con. I'm like, part of me is like, let's just bring this fleet and run it. How fun would that be? So I don't know. I don't know if I want to dive back into let's make super, super competitive fleets, practice it, and get good enough at Worlds, which I probably will, but I'm not really a tournament player. And like, I played that Starhawk list, I think a total now of 12 times, which is like 10 more times than I ever really wanted to play a list. I'm very much so finish a list, move on to the next one. Or like going to a tournament and learning a list as I fly it. I know that's not that people would say that's crazy, but like I did that earlier in the year pre-Adepticon. I flew like the Sloniger list. I've played Onagers. I've played Sloan. So I know a bit about how to run both, but I've never watched anyone play it or seen how it's used. So I had to figure it out as I went. So if you look at the tournament, I got better each round. It was like a 6 the first round I got, and then an 8, and then I think like a 9 or a 10 the last round. I prefer doing that, but that's not really what you should be doing at Worlds, so I'll have to actually come up with a pretty good list. Dumluck, I have been thinking that a majority of Ken's wins on the channel are from other people's fleets. Yes, I would actually agree with that. Also, whenever I use an Onager, I'm terrible with them. He usually beats me when I play Onagers out of all things. But yeah, a lot of times he does do pretty well with other players' fleets. Ken will admit to you that his weakest part and the part that he dislikes about the game the most is fleet building. So that's his biggest weakness. So Ken's weaknesses are he doesn't like fleet building and he doesn't really like fighters. That's why whenever he builds a list to go to a tournament, I'm like, don't bring fighters. You enjoy flying small ships. Just fly the small ships. That's what you enjoy and what you're really good at. So, for me, my biggest weakness is MSU and rolling dice. Funny enough, some of the games that I won the best victories, like clear victories in when I was at Gen Con, were the games I didn't have to roll dice. Dice 100% almost lost me games at the tournament. But the games that I didn't have to roll dice, I did really, really good in those games. So maybe we should keep that going. Okay, so let's go back to the game. Ken had the bid and chose to go second and gave me these objectives: Precision Strike, Asteroid Tactics, and Dangerous Territory. For me, it was super, super easy. Looking at Ken's list, he had the early warning systems, which obstructs attacks. So I don't care if he's putting Exergoths in front of my ships with Asteroid Tactics, because if it's obstructed, it's obstructed no matter how many times it's obstructed. It can't be like completely line sight blocking, if you would. So I decided to go with that. It also meant that I could technically hide in like the asteroid fields, and he couldn't really put Exergoths on them because then I could use them to attack his own fighters. So I decided to go with that. Dangerous Territory, I really just didn't want to do that. And Precision Strike, I don't have any bombers, and I don't want to be like flip cards to be farmed. So that sounded like zero fun. So I went with Asteroid Tactics. But Precision Strike can also really be flipped on you because he only had 4 fighters and only 2 of them were bomber. And then the rest of it could be ships. But if you come against like someone that's fighter heavy, they're going to 100% flip this on you. Like if you come against someone that's like running a Y-Wing swarm, which could be for either faction, or a hyena swarm or something like that, or even like a giant Biggs ball, they'll pick this and then they'll just eat you alive. So I played Asteroid Tactics, and here's the setup. I was very much so out deployed because he did have those two sets of fighter deployments. He could pretty much see where I was. So I decided to go with this central deployment of the Providence and then everything else on this side, mainly to push him toward the other side, oddly enough. Because it looks like here that the weak point would be the Providence, but I plan on taking all these ships speed 3 straight through the debris field and the asteroid and pinning whatever comes to try to kill the Providence. And the Providence can just move at whatever speed it was. I like using Providences like missiles. Like you can go really, really fast in or slow in and then fast. Like you can control your distance that you can engage at. And with this, I pretty much can choose where we're going to go. So that's the deployment. First round, you can see I've set up now to jump through the debris field. And like I was saying, like Ken has this really terrible choice of where to put the Exergoths. So like he can put it here. I'm going to be obstructed anyway. Every shot is going to be obstructed. But then his fighters can't fly over here and land near them. So he had to, like, most of the game, Exergoths lived like on the opposite side of the table because he didn't want to have them shooting at his own fighters. The Providence is staging itself to see where it needs to go, and Ken is doing the same thing. So we're like right now just in a standoff, and it's just gonna come down to who moves first. And the MC-30 and the Corvette kind of like it got squeezed out. So he could have rammed himself and tried to stay back, but like where he was maneuvering, it was poor. So MC-30 got stuck out in front, and that's when the Providence came in for the double arc. And I'll check the damage, but I think Ken still had a significant amount of shields maybe on like this side that he couldn't redirect to. But with like advanced projector, he would be able to do that. And I think this is where I was saying earlier that he decided to go titleless and instead with advanced projector, because he would have survived this attack if he was able to move those shields over there. But we'll check the damage afterwards to see if what I'm saying makes any sense or if I'm just making it all up. My hard cells and Recusant are kind of where I want them to be because I want them to like sweep through. And like if everything's obstructed, it's already obstructed. So I don't care if he has EWS or the Exergoths come. And as you can see, like the Exergoths are way over here, not near anything, not doing anything. But his fighters come in to attack me. Hard cells are actually pretty durable against fighters. You can have them reroll. You have a brace. You can shove the damage places. A bunch of stuff disappeared. Patriot Fist basically killed out the Corvette, and then the Corvette had literally nowhere to go, rammed itself and died. The MC-30 got evaporated. Let's see if I can see the shield. Sometimes I can read it. No, I can't. Sometimes it got evaporated. It was just really good rolling from the Providence. Providences can hit like a truck when you let them come in. And now he's on the escape path, and the question is, can I kill him before he's able to escape? Because he's going to go speed 3 and end up over here. This move, I literally questioned it as soon as I was done moving the ship. And I don't know why I decided to jump away like I did. Like, I could have just dropped to speed 1 and then still been in range out like the rear into a ship, because this ship would end the turn roughly here. And then I would have first player, and my ship here would have like double arc long range on it. So I don't actually know why I decided let's jump way forward, but I did. And as soon as I was done, I was like, I don't think I wanted to do that. So I wouldn't do that again. I would keep it close. But Patriot Fist was able to single out and kill it. My hard cells were able to flak down one of his squadrons, and like that's the double black Confire LTT double arc. Let's do it again. Like it's really, really actually hard to survive a flak field like that. So that's it. Let's go through the damage and see what this MC-30 ended on. Yep, see? This MC-30 died and had 3 shields over here. If Ken had advanced projectors, he would have been able to shift it from this hull zone over to this hull zone, not taking that hull damage, and he would have survived, been able to attack, and then scoot. He would have still died because it would have been like no shields, no nothing. But he would at least been able to attack with it, and he would have done a significant amount of damage to the Providence. The Providence already had like no shield. Like Ken would have done a lot of damage to it. But But I honestly think that's why Ken switched over to that. So this game was kind of a blowout. I killed all of his ships and 10 noob, and then the fighters get scored to me, so that's 400. He didn't kill anything of mine. He had a lot of stuff damaged, but not enough to score. So MOV 0 to 400, so it's a 10-1. So that's pretty much the game. We joked about how it was a trap, but Akbar wasn't the one that's setting it, and I kind of feel that way. Like, as soon as I put my Providence down, I'm like, it's either he has to deploy in front of my entire fleet and move forward, or he has to deploy on the other side, and then I'm just gonna swing around and like pivot around the Providence as the centerpiece. So that was the plan from the beginning. So if you guys have any questions or thoughts about anything, go ahead and let me know. We do have a lot of scheduling changes for this week. Ken and I were looking ahead, and we don't like releasing videos like day after day. We feel like they don't do as well. That's just us playing with the YouTube algorithm, just because algorithm is life. And we had like a lot of interesting things that we want to go over for like Gen Con and things like that. So like this week we'll have a Command Stack episode come out. Ken has his Gen Con review coming out. We have Rebellion in the Rim that we wanted to do, and then like a standard episode. So like there's just too many videos stacked up on each other. So we're probably going to push our standard episode back to next week and then have Rebellion in the Rim premiere on Friday. So then we can have like the Command Stack that's going to probably come out on Tuesday. And then Ken's video is going to be either Wednesday or Thursday night. Just depends on his time in editing and things like that. So we're probably going to shift things around a little bit. But then it also gives you guys a chance to catch that first episode of our new Rebellion in the Rim Clone Wars campaign that we're really, really excited about. So we're excited to show you guys and hope you guys enjoy that, especially the early battles when everything has like one ship and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna roll dice. Okay, I'm done. I have nothing, and you have no defense, so whatever I roll is what you take. Which makes some pretty interesting games. So I think that's gonna be the plan. We actually both didn't realize how behind we were going to get with everything. Being adult sucks. Going to Gen Con and being gone for a couple of days, like editing wise, usually that would be like my weekend off. So I edit a bunch of things usually on my weekend off, and then like catching up because my wife had take care of our little one by herself. So thank you for letting me go to Gen Con. But then like I had to help her catch up with what she needed to get done because right now at his age, he's basically 100% attention all the time, and just wants to be held, which is fine. He's a kid. But then she couldn't get everything that she needed done. So it's been like this whole week of just catching up. So after this week, we'll be done with like our Gen Con talking and things like that. And then we can get back into the normal swing of things. So Maxwell Silver says, Patriot Fist, hate fighting them, love running them. Honestly, that is the best way how to describe those ships. Some people are really, really good with it, and I know that's just because they practice it all the time. But man, like you can just snipe things. I'm always torn. Like I know it's really, really good attacking big ships, but also I feel like it's really, really good attacking small ships. So I actually have a lot of target priority issues with Patriot's Fist, and it's the same thing with like the Onager. I talked about this a while back as I think it was that tournament I went to earlier in the year that I played Sloniger actually, and I was talking about target priority with the Onager, and I said like I couldn't kill everything, and everyone was like, well, you shouldn't be able to, it's an Onager. I'm like, no, but like I can't kill everything, and I realize that that there is a limit to how much damage you actually can do. And I actually talked about this the last game that we played in Onager with, the one that I played against Ken, and he beat me with Luminara. Like, I realized after rolling poorly, like on turn 2 and 3, that there was no way that I could possibly out damage him at that point, because of just the damage potential wasn't actually there. And that's like before he even was taking out my black dice. And I feel like Patriot Fist is the same way. Like, I'm not going to get a shot on turn 1. I might get a shot on turn 2. So let's just say I shoot on maybe turn 2, 3, 4. And then by that time, it's usually on fire and I'm trying to disengage. So I'm only getting like 3, maybe 4 good shots with it. And that's if I stay at medium range and don't close into close range. So, like, what do I shoot? Do I shoot the big ships, or do I try to just erase the small ships? Like, there's a lot of target priority issues that I have with Patriot Fist. But that's just because I probably need to play it more. But I feel like it's always a challenge of what I actually want to attack with it. I'm trying to think if you guys saw this episode yet, or is it going to be the next one? I did edit an episode recently. It might be in the next couple, but there's a Patriot's Fist, and like I just have to like focus down like on flotillas. I feel like for most of the game, just because it was like the target of opportunity. Like, I could shoot at a big ship, but do I have enough firepower to kill it? Or do I just like take my chance? I need to roll an accuracy to kill a flotilla. Like, it's a hard choice. Old guy 360 gaming, great job at Gen Con, John. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I did not expect to win. I was hoping to do well and place probably top 4 to get that Worlds invite. I did not actually expect to win it all, though. There was a lot of good players there that I thought were going to beat me. So my goal was always just to place well. I was very surprised to have found out that I was in first, waiting for the last game to finish. Did not expect that. So, what is your thoughts on Patriot Fist with swivel mount batteries? I love Patriot Fist with swivel mount batteries, but that's a different style list. Like, that's like a TF style list. If the CIS had a reliable like squadron that could give out raid, I would probably be playing TAF all the time. If you go back, I don't remember what episode this is. It might be before we switched to seasons, or it might have been in season 1. I played a double Recusant, gunnery team, swivel mount battery, APT list, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I normally don't like playing lists more than twice, I've said, but like, I honestly might pull that list out just to play again because I enjoyed it so much. Maybe a few tweaks here and there, but I actually really enjoyed playing that list because it's just kind of fun to be like, okay, and then we shoot 4 red dice, and then I'm going to add in a black dice, and then I'm going to confire in a red dice, and you have raid, so I'm going to add 2 more red dice, and then I'm going to re-roll that, and then you're going to get hit by an APT, and we're at long range. It's a lot of fun. I feel like swivel, for the most part, isn't usually worthwhile. So far, I've only found it useful on specifically the Recusant. So, yeah, I've used it occasionally on acclimators. I actually really like acclimators. I've used it on acclimators, but again, like, it's specifically for certain types of builds. So I do like swivel, but basically it's Recusant and acclimators. That's it. I wonder how well they would work on like a Venator, but if I'm going to be putting like that expensive of a upgrade on a Venator, I guess I would probably be using just Spat and calling it a day, which I don't think the two of them work together. I would have to go check that timing again. Maybe that would be interesting. Maybe spatting with swivel mount. I'd have to read the card to see if they were able to be compatible, because it's like special arcs and normal arcs don't necessarily work together. It's the same thing with like an Onager and Spinal. So I would have to go back and relook at that. I fly the double list often. It's very early in the videos. I know. I was looking at videos the other day, and man, Ken and I have very much so changed over the years. We're coming up now on like 3 years, which doesn't seem real. But like even the fact like my old apartment and then the old townhouse and then like a new townhouse, like we've moved into so many different places, just filming wise, and like even though we feel like we're doing the same thing, our style has actually changed over the course of 3 years, which is fine. It's good to always be evolving and trying to improve. But I watched some of the early videos and like I barely even recognize myself. I look so different like over the last 3 years. TF 4 black dice, 2 blue, and 4 red. I know it's so scary. It's so much fun to throw that. Especially because people expect like a lot of damage with Patriots, and then when you add all those extra black dice that they never expected in, they don't even do it. That's Dumblick just said swivel and spat are both modifications. That's why I've never tried it. I think I always go to the same point and then someone points out their modifications. Honestly, I don't really even think about modifications. I basically let the app that I use control that. Maybe that explains why. Maybe we play a game that you just break all the rules and you just see how many modifications you can put on a ship. That would be fun. Vice Admiral asks, do you prefer the Simoon 1 or the Imperial 2? And the answer is Imperial 2. Imperial 2 by far is my favorite ISD. I feel that it has the most consistent damage out the front. It also can be a carrier. It also has the ECM slot, the defensive slot. You can also do salvoing with it. The Simoon is very much so, why not just bring an onager ship, like, for its dice? I enjoy playing gunnery team Simoons because it's fun to throw a bunch of red and melt every single rebel small that comes across your path. But as a whole, I think the ISD2 is better. I think my ranking for ISDs goes Imperial 2, Kuat, Simoon, and then Imperial 1. Unless I have something very specific I want to do, and then the Imperial 1 becomes like really, really important. I haven't done that in a while because there's certain builds that the Imperial 1 just does way better, and it's like that hardcore carrier. But since like the Quasar came out, like, why bother? I can just do everything I need pretty much with the Quasar. So let's see if there's anything else people want me to chat about or any ideas. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let's see. Ken and I are finalizing our fleets for seasons 6 and 7 now, which is kind of nuts. So we're going to be flip-flopping for those seasons, the commanders, because for seasons 3 and 4, I took half and Ken took half. So now we're going to switch which commanders we can be, and then we're going to try to make some different matchups, so those matches are fun. Old guy 360, I always struggle with target priorities. Do I take out the supporting ship to stop their strat, or their heavier shooter ships? A lot of it has to do with eventually you just have like almost an intuition of, yes, I'll be able to shoot this, and yes, I'll be able to kill it. Some ships make that more complicated, like interdictors, and then Beast of Burden also changes things up. Like if you have like a Watambor Providence that's barreling down on you, and it's repairing, and it has thermal shields, and you shoot it, they use thermal shields, and then they Beast of Burden it right back. Sometimes it's like, maybe I'll kill Beast of Burden first. But they're going to make that difficult for you to do. So if you ever have a choice of, do I make a shot or not take a shot, the answer is always take the shot. But like with things like Patriot Fist and Onagers, it sometimes can get a little bit more confusing of which ship should I be shooting at. But that just takes time and practice to learn. So I think I'm going to call it here. It's been fun interacting and talking to you guys. I always look forward to streaming like this. That's why I do it. I was supposed to talk about something. Hold on. Someone asked me a question, and I don't know where. It was either on Discord or was on a YouTube or was on a live stream. Not quite sure. But they wanted me to touch base on the High Ground episode that we had last time. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That's something Ken and I enjoyed playing and plan on doing more of. So the High Ground, basically, we're like, we need something more competitive. Because like I talked about, we don't really play competitive lists because we find them mostly boring. But if we could do like one-offs, like these are really, really, really top tournament lists that do well, why not? So what our plan is to take the top 2 list of like major events, like anything basically we cover on the command stack is fair game, and we're going to take like the top 2 lists and then randomly decide who plays which and then see how it goes. And in this event we played, I believe, Luke's Starhawk against Mackenzie's like assault frigate fleet, and both of those fleets are really, really fun. I had way more fun with Mackenzie's fleet than I thought I did, and I already thought I was going to like it. So I really, really like that fleet. And then see if our outcome, if there's like a game that was played between those fleets, would change. Or in this case, I think where we came up with the idea originally was when we reviewed the Australian Open, and neither of those fleets, top 2 fleets, played each other, and Ken and I were like, well, what if? And especially after Ken did the interview with I believe it was Mars, but don't quote me on that. And they were like, we wonder what it would happen to. So that's where we got the idea, and we're going to continue doing that. I have to eat my words because on the command stack, I talked a lot about the Mark for Destruction objective being in that list is something I would not pick. And then I 100% picked it when it came to the game, which was kind of funny. And that was because I've always misunderstood how that card was played. And it wasn't until I stopped practice that specific card to see how it actually worked that my mind changed. And there's a specific reason why I picked that objective in here. And was because if you look at how it's actually written, because I thought you could just keep farming every time you got a crit and moved them near someone's ship like multiple times. Like you could like get more than 15 points per turn, but you can't. You only can assign 1 token per fleet side. So like you could have a token and I could have a token. So that means the maximum amount of points that you can get per turn is 15, and you're not going to get it on the first 2 turns probably. So you're going to be limited to like maybe 4 tokens. So after understanding how that worked, I decided it wouldn't hurt at all to take it. Mainly because I wouldn't present my assault frigate as really a good attack option, because you want to attack the transports or the Nebula B, and all those ships, it's either you hit it and destroy it or you don't hit it. So like specifically with the flotillas, like you can't really give it a token because I will just scatter or cancel whatever crit away so that I won't ever have a token on them. So they're either going to explode or you're not going to have a chance to give them a token. And it's the same thing with the Neb B. Like if you shoot into the side of it and sneeze hard enough, it's going to explode. So even if Ken were to have attacked into it, I probably wouldn't have a token, and he won't be able to get an Purgle near me. So I pretty much figured that he was going to be able to score 0 points off of me on that, and then it was just going to be whose fighters and auxiliary ships could kill off of each other. So I think that that's why I chose that objective. So I have to eat my words, because what I said in the command stack and looking back at it, someone called me on it. Like, you clearly said this and then did it anyway, or said you wouldn't do that and then did it every way. That's because I actually have changed how I thought about that objective card. Because, I mean, it's like 3 paragraphs long. Get your kids ready for bed. We'll read them the bedtime story of what Mark Destruction says, and you might not still understand it. So I now understand it and have a better grasp on it. If I had just large ships, I would not take it, because you're going to hit me and you're going to do damage. But specifically with the ship makeup that I had, I'm like, I'm either going to scatter or explode. There's no in between, so you're not going to have a chance to score tokens off me. Vice Admiral, yep, take care. This is one of the reasons why I like doing this, is I enjoy answering questions for you guys. So if you guys ever have any questions, this is where to ask. Dumluck says, I really enjoyed High Ground, but Ken should play your waiting list at Gen Con. We'll eventually get there. And it's either we'll try to get Nick, because he took second place and he's a Chicago Loco, to play his list. Or we'll just randomly select it. But yeah, that would be fun. The second place list is going to be a challenge to fly. It's one of those lists. So Nick, who took second, an extremely good player, extremely competitive player, is really good with his squads and all of his ships. Like, I see him do things with raiders, and then the raider doesn't die, and I don't understand how to do it. So I don't know if either of us would be able to replicate how he plays on the table. And then I see that you were the one that said that in the officer club. So yes. So that's my answer of why my opinion on the red objective changed. Mainly because I finally played it enough that I understood what it was. So hopefully that answers your question on it. And then for me, it was always, I needed to have Ken overextend into me with his squadrons. Then I was just going to murder a squadron. And that's like 130 points right there. And then if I pick off a flotilla, that's 25 more. And as long as I minimize my losses, it's a 7-4. So, but that's how I think about a lot of tournaments, is how can I get to that 7-4, 8-3 point. So, okay. I'm going to call it night. We're right around an hour, and I could say a night. I've been up all night, so now I'm going to bed. It's not daytime until after I sleep. So I'm going to head to bed and talk to you guys online. If you're on Discord, you can always ping me, and we can talk there, or comment on videos or something like that. So thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, I'm John. This is the Backseat Admiral, and you've been watching Ion Radio.